I'm disappointed, and at the same time, I'm not disappointed with this episode of Golden Time. Before I get into the actual real review discussion of this episode, let's talk about the reasons why I was disappointed. For one, there were so many different ways they could have took the plot and the character interactions to make this episode one of the best episodes ever of the series, but they decided to not go that way, and they went to cliche manner of just, Coco feeling guilty, which is fine. I mean, it's their series, I'm not going to tell them how to run it. They managed to keep me entertained, so I'm not going to start judging their, judgment now. But anyways, that's one thing I am disappointed about, because a lot of people, and even I, brought up a lot of theories about either how Ghost Bonnery could get back into his body again, or we could have the entire aspect where Bonnery fuses with himself. But, well, actually, speaking of fusing with himself, there was an entire aspect of this episode when we get to see Bonnery, as we all know, is trying to forget his past, just drop his past, completely ignore his past or run away from it. And that's what Coco brings up this episode, and pretty much tells Bonnery. We all knew this, in fact, as, all of us a couple episodes ago when he decided to reject Linda and go friend zone with her, or completely just cut all ties with her, which was obvious. Maybe this might lead to actually Bonnery accepting his past self, Ghost Bonnery, and to be able to have their both personalities fused together into one person. That is a possibility, but I'm not going to start making theories now. So let's talk about this episode. So pretty much they went the route that would have been the most standard for a romance drama anime with a little bit of supernatural elements with Ghost Bonnery. They went to the part with Coco feeling guilty, being upset of causing a wreck or sleeping at the wheel, and no one was seriously hurt in this crash, which, thank you Lord, because I didn't want no one to be seriously injured. That would have been an overreacted melodrama I didn't want to see. But, Chidami, she got hurt this episode. Right at the beginning, when she was holding her face, I saw her reveal her face. I was like, oh my god, she's bleeding. And when you see blood just coming out of her eyes, I was like, no, Chidami, are you hurt? And then, freaking shit, we find out she's fine. She just bumped her head a little bit. But I was really worried, actually. I was really worried that she got in a wreck. And so, this actual episode of Golden Time, it managed to do something unexpected with this episode. I mean, it was actually portrayed as a really good, I guess, romantic relationship. You're thinking, like, what, romance? Now, let me tell you why. For instance, usually when we see an episode like this, especially when the main female character is either guilty or the male character is guilty of doing something, most likely you would see the average breakup in a romance anime, which is obvious. A lot of people have probably seen this in romance anime. There's either breakup, a major spat to where they run off from the house and don't talk to each other for about probably 2 or 3 episodes. But in this episode, they took it in the path that I did not expect. And this is where I get to the point of what I thought was so good about this episode. So, we get to see Coco dwelling in her room, being all upset, not wanting to leave her room. She's not wanting to talk to nobody, which is, to be obvious, she probably feels really fucking guilty, which I can agree why. I mean, as you all know, I recently had a car wreck, which wasn't my fault, but still, I know how it feels to be in a wreck and how much one drastic change could cause someone to actually be killed. So, pretty much, I understand Coco's feelings. From my perspective, I understand why she feels guilty and why she's upset. And so, honestly, I can relate to her character. I really actually felt more relatable to both characters in this episode because of my recent stunts, and later, a couple week or 2 back. So anyways, let's talk about this episode. So, pretty much though, when you get to see Coco being really angry, mad, yelling at Bonnery, saying, shut up, grabs a pillow, starts hitting him with it, it's to be expected. And then she basically talks about how Bonnery is just trying to push away his old self and trying to forget his past when he had amnesia, which we all know Bonnery is doing. I mean, at the same time, I like the present Bonnery better than Ghost Bonnery, but I do admit he is a coward when it comes to actually going to his past and trying to accept it. And so Coco makes him realize this episode, even though Bonnery knew, and we get this entire dark discussion with, drama tension building up, with Coco trying to say she's trying to run away from her problems too, but at the same time they're both running away from the problems. And at the conclusive of the argument, we get to see them progress in the right manner. I mean, Coco grabs and starts hugging him, so does Bonnery. They start getting all lovey-dovey, and they actually look like they forgive each other. I expected this to go a route this episode of complete, utter freaking drama where they run away from each other or break up. So, congratulations to them. Once again, they proved to be a mature freaking romance anime that doesn't do the standard cliche bullcrap I see all the time. So, once again, Golden Time keeps its aspect of being a really revolutionized romance relationship. It doesn't have your standard crappy love triangles. It doesn't have your standard cliches of drama. It does, in a course, of making me interested. Now, the father. That freaking father of Coco, man, he is freaking awesome. Especially at that cute moment ending, I was smiling because I was like so freaking happy Coco and Bonnery made up. And when you have Bonnery just hugging Coco, and he looks at the father behind him, he's like, oh, and then the father's like this, holding ramen like this. I was like, oh, I thought the father was going to start yelling at Baldry, to be honest. I really thought he was, because usually that's also what we see. But the father didn't. He really did not. And so, once again, another cliche was just dropped right there. And so, we didn't have the standard cliche of the father yelling at the son, or, you know, his son-in-law now that was going to be probably marrying his daughter in the future. We actually had a father that was understandable of their feelings and emotions. And when the time basically Coco realized her father was behind her, and that was freaking awesome. And so, I like it. I love the way this episode was handled. It did it in the right way of more character development between the two characters, and majority of this series is pretty much character development. That's all we know of right now. The only plot, as we all know, is pretty much the amnesia section, so that doesn't matter. I love the way the characters have developed over these past couple episodes, or this entire series. I mean, if we look back right now when this series first began, Coco is a freaking clingy girl that just did not know how to let go of someone for even a couple seconds, and then we saw Bonnary that was just very shy, or at the same time didn't know how to make any friends, or, you know, be able to interact with anyone. So, honestly, I love the actual development of the character series. There is a really clear-cut course of how much development they've gotten, which is good. And, you know, I know a lot of Linda fans are probably disappointed, too, because of this episode probably would have been really good for a lot of them if, you know, we saw Ghost Bonnary back. Or at the same time, we haven't seen Linda in a long time, actually, if you think about it. We haven't seen her in probably 5 or 4 episodes now. So, anyways, I'm upset and disappointed at the same time with the different ways it was handled this episode, but it still kept me entertained to make me really happy they just dropped so much crazy garbage they could have used. So, once again, Golden Time, congratulations, you did another good episode, and hopefully you continue on this track record to make a really good, conclusive ending. And speaking of endings, since we're so close to the ending of this series, we all know it, and I don't want to talk about it because it sucks so bad. We all know anime must come to an end eventually. The ending is coming soon, and so I want to start talking to you all about that. How do you think this series is going to end? I mean, as we can see, this is a clear-cut romance anime, and we probably know Coco and Mon are going to get together, unless they decide to leave it open-ending to where we don't know what's going to happen, which hopefully they don't do that. I really hope not. Hopefully we get to see a good ending with either, you know, Bonnary marrying Linda or Coco, and actually seeing a wedding ceremony to where we have a good relationship and good ending, and hopefully 2D doesn't die alone, because I want to see him get with a character like Tsunami. So, I love it. Good episode, good music, good tension and drama feels. I'm glad they went this path. At the same time, I'm disappointed. Anyways, guys, this is going to be the end of my anime review on Golden Time this week. Tell me what you think about this episode and what you think about the entire uncliche romance of this episode. Everybody, Chibi out.